banks performing through this time? We kind of addressed that, but will you see more mergers and consolidations with us ending up with fewer community banks?
We've been on a decline in the number of banks from 19,000 in 1980 to 12,000 in 1990 to about 5,000 right now. So yes, we will have a decrease in the number of banks. The biggest area that we see in acquisitions for the last 10 years is really the micro banks that are, under a couple of hundred million. It's just tougher and tougher for those guys to compete. But having said that, we haven't had a lot of new banks this cycle, no de novos or startup banks. So that's reduced the supply of banks. I know there's a demand for them. And I really hope that we kind of start to flatten out in the number of banks we have. This is a plea for America here. We're the only country in the world that has a community bank system. And it's one of the things that makes us special, because we know that small businesses get a lot of service from community banks, and that provides 80% of all new jobs to our economy. So when you think about that, that's a heavy duty plumbing and wiring to just yank out little by little every year. And I hope we don't lose that. But having said that, M&A will continue. Small banks will continue to be bought up. And at some point, regulators will ease restrictions on how to start a new bank. And it'll be a little easier to start more banks. And I hope we do that. As far as investing, yes, we are actively investing in community banks, private, nano, micro, small cap. There's some mid caps that I like as well. The large caps, they tend to have a lot of international exposure, especially Citigroup, that I'm not as comfortable with. But I am a holder of JP Morgan and B of A right now.
Got it. Okay. Bernardo, I think on that, another comment from one of our members here, Bernardo, is asking, do you think that the larger banks will lose some of the small business accounts due to PPP? So it's interesting, right? In some instances, everyone's going to these larger banks for their loans, but it's almost, to your point, these smaller banks are the ones that are a little bit more agile when it comes to the small businesses. Do you think now that there's going to be a real shift in the way that small business does their banking? And I will be totally honest too. My business accounts are held by a large bank. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like these smaller banks seem to be able to pivot and help in a more easy way. But maybe you're seeing something different.
So what is a bank supposed to be for you? A bank is supposed to be a source of strength. Supposed to be a port in a storm, right?
Right. Exactly. Yes.
We're in a storm. And if I can't go to my bank and get my PPP loan when I applied on the first day, but all my friends did in the community bank, I'm leaving. I'm out. You weren't there for me.
Right.
And that's the message. And so, yes, these community banks, this is going to be a great story for them for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. I was there for you. I can't tell you how many people have come to me that couldn't get into B of A, couldn't get into Wells Fargo, desperate for money. I sent them to a community bank. I said, I know you're full taking care of your own customers, but will you do me a personal favor and take this, sole practitioner or this or that or the other and do it for me? And by the way, that person will move their business, move their deposits, move everything. They need the money now. And they did it. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They got a customer for life. And where do you get a better advertisement than that person running around for the next 10 years saying, this is where I was, this is what happened to me. My new port in a storm is community bank.